Hello, and welcome to my safety and regulations project number 1 for my transportation course. Today we are covering safety and regulations on a mode. But first, my name is Nick Hensel. Today is December 7th, 2025, and this is for the Transportation Systems OLCP. The regulation I chose is the Federal Railroad Administration. What do they cover? Well, kind of is in the name. They cover the railways. And for no particular reason did I choose this. I've already done projects over air transportation, sea transportation. So I decided to choose one between motor carriers and the railroads. So therefore, I was like, well, why not dive into one of the oldest transportation modes currently, and that is the rail system, which is a part of the DOT, Department of Transportation, since 1966. Prior to 1966, the railways were governed by the Interstate Commerce Commission, established in 1887. That's almost 140 years ago. This was the first federal regulatory agency. 140 years. First agency. Crazy. So, some of the safety rules that the FRA has implemented in June of 2024, they had mandates for a minimum of 2 crew members. If you wanted to go down to 1, you needed to submit a bunch of paperwork to make sure that you're still being safe and everybody's still accounted for in every way. Another thing they also did was they limited an on-duty shift to 12 consecutive hours, which isn't that much different compared to a DOT over truck driver that is limited to 11 hours or 11 and 14 hours. So you can drive 11 hours or you can drive 10 hours, take a 3-hour break, and then drive an hour. So 11 hours total in a 14-hour period. So that shows me that they're treating the rail guys the same as the truck guys. Because honestly, I mean, you wouldn't think there was, it's like, you're just on a rail car. It's like you're just pushing a lever back and forth. Yeah, but it's mentally draining. Think about mentally keeping up with that for 12 straight hours. That's crazy. Okay. Tracks inspected multiple times a week. If you are a freight rail, you're inspected twice a week, once to twice a week. If you are a passenger car rail, you are inspected every few days, 2 days, 3 days, like clockwork. So you're inspected 3 times a week. So that's a lot of inspection. So with these inspections, there's also standards for the track. Okay. So there are 9 classifications for the rail track, and all that is based on the gauge, the alignment, the surface, and the super elevation. So as you see, that's the width, straightness of the rail, smoothness of the rail, and banking for the curves. So you need to make sure all that is in line with your class, or if not, you have to get bumped down a class, and speeds change, and it's a lot of red tape. So they also make sure they put regulations on the brakes, wheels, and couplers. So for the brakes, 85% of the cars must have operative and effective brakes. They must push them on and they must release. For the wheels, they look for cracks or breaks or flat spots. I used to drive a reach truck, and I'm telling you, when one of those wheels got a flat spot, it is very jarring. And it's just a little wheel. So imagine that on a multi-ton piece of machinery, and it's just shaking the whole time. Okay. Couplers must have no cracks or breaks in the pin bearing bosses or the yoke carrier or the sidewall. So, so all those things have to be up to the standards, because the last thing we need is a runaway train headed for a highly populated area and a locomotive AWVR 1206 trying to stop it. Those of you that don't know, that is the plot for the movie Unstoppable featuring Denzel Washington. So they also have rules about procedures. And for these procedures, they have those tracks I talked about, the different 9 classes. Well, each class has a different speed, and the FRA mandates those speeds based on the smoothness, the gauge, how straight the line is. I mean, because the last thing you want to be doing is going 65, and that's no, you're going to fall over. So they also, the inspection frequency, like I said, the tracks multiple times a week, whether you are a passenger car or a freight car, multiple times. The brakes and the wheels and the couplers, daily inspections. And I tell you this because I had my CDL at one point in time. So before you have to do a pre-trip inspection, you have to check the wheels, the windshield, the wiper blades, all of it for cracks, breaks, and replace it, note it, yada, yada, yada. So the FRA has the same things for the DOT. Similar things to the DOT. They have to inspect these wheels daily on a passenger car. Last thing you need is to have a rail full of passengers and one of those wheels has a crack or a break in it, and all of a sudden it breaks and bad things happen. So locomotives, once again, daily inspections, and they even go with monthly. They have another monthly check. So they have a daily check and a monthly check. Technically 33 days, but let's call it a month. The other thing they have is signal system requirements. They have to mandate maintaining switch circuits and to make sure that they detect the switch in the proper position accurately. And they also have specific rules for the track circuits and signal placement. Not the last thing, but one thing you don't need is to go a long way without a signal. As an operator, like, am I on the right track? Am I supposed to be here? Is there another car coming? Did I miss something? So those signals have to be exactly where they need to be for everybody's safety. What did I learn? I learned that the FRA, formerly the Commission of Commerce, is very old. It's 140 years old. First federal regulatory agency. One of the first, if not the first. I said the first. That's a long time to be governed, right? The other thing I learned, there is a lot of safety measures, probably even more for the rail system than it is for DOT, because if a train and all of its rail cars pile up, you are talking about a mass cleanup that is weeks, and if it's hazmat included, months even. There's a lot more that goes with that. If a truck blows out a tire, flips over on the interstate, one car's involved, hopefully the guy's okay. We don't want anybody hurt. Hopefully the guy's okay. But they can get away with a lot there, right? So they probably don't do the pre-trip inspections like they should. But if a passenger car for the railway, if Amtrak flips over and you got that 4 or 5 cars and those hundreds of passengers on there, now you're talking about a nightmare happening here. You're talking about casualties there to the rail system, which is going to affect commerce, and then it's going to affect the people around the train tracks. So I mean, there's a lot of safety involved. So once again, very old agency, tons of safety. And so thank you for stopping in, and good night.